So apparently backing a certain nameless person and saying the fans, they do not matter, they don't impact movies, can make your product fail. It's almost like Warner could have prevented this type of outcome. I know, mysteries of the universe, right? Fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. Here, by the way, is an actual picture of Warner Brothers trying to do damage control for Aquaman 2. That's what it feels like, right? Oh, I swear, even if I tried to script this stuff any funnier, I don't think that I actually could. So hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. So if you find yourself asking, how exactly did we get here, That Umbrella Guy? This includes Warner, by the way. You folks should be asking yourself, well, this little picture right here, it should hold some clues. You notice what's in the background. First and foremost, the Suicide Squad. You notice the guy in front there? That's Peter Safran. You see the caption underneath it? That's about Aquaman 2. That's right, Aquaman 2, that nameless person, and yet he's supposed to be promoting the Suicide Squad. See, during promotion for the Suicide Squad, Peter Safran, that guy right there again, he decided that he would sit down, he would talk to Hero Nation podcast. Never heard of them, by the way. They're connected to Deadline.com. They are definitely shills for that certain nameless person. And instead of sticking to the topic at hand, you can see this should have been what they were talking about. The UK premiere last night of the movie, they should have been talking about Idris Elba, should have been talking about James Gunn and all, but instead of sticking to those topics, they decided they would stick to another topic as well, that nameless person. Aquaman 2, because this guy, he's a producer on that as well. Now, during that, he decided that the smart thing to do would be to denigrate the fans, because that's how you get them to open their wallets, right? You insult them, and they're going to throw money at you. And this is what he had to say, quote, "I don't think we're ever going to react to honestly pure fan pressure. You got to do what's best for the movie. We felt that if it's James Wan and Jason Momoa, it should be a certain nameless person. That's really what it was. One is not unaware of what is going on in the Twitterverse, but that doesn't mean you have to react to it or take it as gospel or accede to their wishes. You have to do what's right for the film, and that's really where we landed on it. Doing what's best for your movie. So according to Peter Safran, the best thing that you can do for your movie is to go out to call out the customers, telling them that they aren't the people that make these movies work, telling them that this movie over here, we're just going to bring it up randomly because I'm connected to that too. That stuff, it can't hurt either movie, right? Well, let's see how that works out for you. Here's Suicide Squad 2016. Domestically, you're talking about $325 million. Internationally, $421 million for a worldwide box office total of $746 million plus. You also have the home market added to that, bringing in an additional $85 million. This movie, it succeeded. It did well enough to bring up a sequel, and just like that, people like Peter Safran, remember these moves, they're backed by Warner. He would never say that without their consent, but they blow all of that away. Now, when looking at these numbers here, what you really need to keep in mind is the fact that it cost $185 million just to make. That number, it doubles when you're talking about advertisement. So really, when you look at what this thing needs just to break even, we're talking about $370 million. Yeah, you'll be lucky to make that on its entire run. Right now, we're looking at a domestic box office of $49 million. Internationally, we're talking around $91 million plus for a worldwide box office so far of $140 million plus. Now, to really drive home just how bad this stuff is doing, I want you to look at this tweet right here. I think that this encapsulates quite a bit of performance. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad lost over 1,000 theaters in just its third week. How do you lose 1,000 theaters, by the way? You perform exceptionally bad. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? No theater wants to dedicate screens to something that's not performing. And well, obviously it's not performing. Look at these numbers here. And dropped another negative 54%. So 54% drop off in money from week 2 to week 3, with just $3.4 million domestically, $49 million total. And before you say that drop isn't bad, remember it cost $185 million and debuted at just $26 million. The Dog Days of August claims another box office victim. Oh yeah, yes indeed. Now something that fascinates me even more is a media response like this. Not necessarily what it's talking about either, although this headline says plenty. Box office, Suicide Squad 2 sinks like Fantastic Four, but also where it's coming from. See this? It comes to us from Forbes, but more importantly, it comes to us from Scott Mendelson. Never heard of that name, by the way? Well, this guy, he shills for every corporation out there. He shilled for Disney, some of their worst movies, Warner, some of their worst movies, but also he shills for hashtag listen and believe. What this tells you is at the end of the day, the media, they're not going to make your product better. Peter Safran stepping out, thinking he's in charge, that all of these folks, they're going to pick up his movie and make it work. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. You know who makes your movie work? Those pesky, quote-unquote fans, aka the customers. They're the ones you got to convince. And you know what he convinced them to do? He convinced them to staple their wallet shut. You really want to talk about how bad this is, to listen to this, because comparisons to that Fantastic Four reboot, yeah, that's not a good thing at all. Quote, Warner Brothers' The Suicide Squad tumbled in weekend 3, earning $3.41 million. Again, that's a negative 54% drop-off for a miserable $49.27 million domestically, $140 million global total. It's playing almost identically to Josh Trask's infamous Fantastic Four reboot, $56 million from a $25 million debut 6 years ago, so we can expect a likewise over-under $55 million domestic finish for a $185 million movie. Remember those numbers, too. They're popularity gauges. You don't get to keep all of that money there. Yeah, this thing, it is a failure, and it is a failure and then some. Yeah, this guy, he didn't do all of this by himself, but you know what? He contributed to it. And more accordingly, he and Warner Brothers, they have this mindset that the customer, they're not the ones that make the movies work. We make the movies work. Game on. That's apparently what people are saying. Game on indeed. But anyway, let me know what you think about this stuff. And as always, thank you. I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff work, so thank you. We have a new link in the description too. That is a sign up for our new comic book. It will be debuting pretty soon. Sign up for that. When it comes out, you'll get a mailing to it. And that, if you end up backing, you'll get something exclusive. Want to help out in other ways? There are links there. Check them out. Thank you. You being here, though, that matters. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's it. See you soon.